Good afternoon. Welcome back to the kitchen. If you can hear the lawnmower, my neighbour is trying to mow their lawn in between sort of the rain showers that we've got here today. Sort of an unusual weather day. It's quite windy, and then we've got cloud, we've got showers, and then it's sunny and blue skies, so it's been all over the place. It has actually been quite a nice gardening morning. I've sort of been out in the garden pottering around a little bit. With the cooler weather, it's just so much nicer to garden at this time of year. And there is actually quite a lot happening in the garden at the moment. I've had quite a lot of newness in the garden, and I've also had a few successes and things. So I was thinking maybe, not in this video, but maybe on Friday, we might take a little stroll around the cottage garden, and I'll just sort of show you my gardening triumph and just all the new sort of bits and pieces, how everything is doing. I know we've done quite a number of garden projects over the last few weeks, so I'll kind of give you a bit of an update on all of those as well. But for this video, what I wanted to do was finally get into reorganizing the pantry. So a few weeks ago, you and I actually went to Kmart and we picked up a few of these glass containers with the bamboo lids. I'm very keen to kind of reorganize my pantry. Some of the jars that I have just aren't either correct sizes, or they're quite precariously perched where they are, which I'll show you in a moment. But I thought we would kind of tackle that today. I'm sort of in the mode for reorganizing things, and I definitely think with reorganizing, you can't just start it. You've got to be in the mood for it. So I'm very much in the mood for it today, given that it is actually showering right now. It's starting to rain, so I can't really do any more in the garden. So yeah, I thought we would tackle this and get it looking all nice in there. I definitely need my pantry to be really efficient. I like to be able to see everything. I want it to be practical. I want it to look beautiful. And so that is what I'm hoping we are going to achieve today. So what I thought I would do first up is kind of show you what the current state is, and kind of just talk you through very quickly kind of how my pantry sort of runs. I have to say, I love watching other people's videos where they kind of reorganize their pantries or kind of show you in their pantries. I always like to have a little sticky beak in and see what everyone else is doing. I get a lot of ideas from that. So I hope you enjoy this video today. If you do, I would really love it if you subscribed, if you love this kind of content. And I see that, you know, you're subscribing, and that I can definitely, you know, do more videos like this. I'm in the process of slowly working my way through the house. I think I said this a week or so ago, kind of just working my way through the house and reorganizing. I want to go through and do my wardrobes. I want to do all the library bookshelves and just have a really good sort of sort out and reorganize. So if that's something that you enjoy, please let me know in the comments, and I can definitely sort of share those videos with you. But yeah, so first things first, I'll show you what my pantry sort of currently looks like and how I kind of like it to work. And then I think what we might do is sort of take everything out, have a bit of a clean in there, get rid of anything that's out of date or expired, and then we'll kind of go through filling all the new containers, putting all the labels on, assembling the bits and pieces that I have to assemble, and then we'll kind of look at the final state and go from there. So yeah, I mean, as I've said, I love watching other people's reorganization videos, so we're going to do this today, but I will be watching other people's videos as well. So, you know, in 6 months I might find another idea that I love, and I'll obviously share that with you. But let's get into it. Let's not procrastinate any further. I will show you the current state. Okay, so the main thing that I want to focus on today is kind of this shelf here. So this is sort of all of my kind of dry ingredients, I suppose, flours, pastas, rice, seeds and things like that. So these are obviously the jars I have currently. I do label them. These labels are absolutely incredible. They are reusable labels. So this sort of writing on here, I've got like a little eraser, I'll show you in a moment, and I can just rub it out and pop you know, new writing and things on them. So they're terrific. I think I got them from Howard's Storage World, but you might be able to pick up something like it on Amazon. And then what I have been doing is, you can see I've kind of got the jars in the front and then I've got the refills in the back. That has not been working. I find that quite difficult because then to refill something, you've got to move all the jars to be able to access it. So that's the first thing that I'm not loving at the moment. And I mentioned earlier that some of the jars are quite precarious in the cupboard. These jars here, these sort of smaller ones, they don't have a really, because they're quite small and they're stacked, they are very prone to tipping over. So that is the other thing that I do not like. So that's kind of what I'm wanting to change today, is mainly these smaller jars. These larger ones will stay as they are. They're really stable. They're easy to use. So that's and then obviously I've got some other ingredients that aren't in the jars. So I kind of want to have a bit of a rejig here. And then I want to move the refill items from out the back, and where I think I will pop them is in this top drawer here. So it's very messy at the moment. Don't judge me, it's very messy. But what I think I'll do is make this kind of like my refills drawer. So how my pantry is kind of structured is the top sort of area has shelves, and then the bottom area has drawers, just to make it really easy for you to be able to pull them out and sort of see what's at the back. I've got spice racks and things on the side. And so all of that I love, that works really well. And then in terms of my kind of process, what I like to do is, just to show you with this, I like to keep items in stock. I find this really works for me for a couple of reasons. One, it means I am never without an ingredient. Two, it makes grocery shopping so much easier. I can really see what I have, what I'm running low on. And three, I actually find it way more cost effective, which I'm going to explain now. So as an example, so this is my jam. I have an opened jar of jam in the fridge at the moment, but you can see here I've got 2 in stock. Now, the reason I have 2 in stock is because they've probably gone on sale. And they might have gone half price, and because jam obviously has a long expiry date, I have picked them up while they're on sale and I'm keeping them in stock. So if I took, let's say I use this one here and I've only got 1 in stock, when I'm doing my sort of grocery list for the week and I'm looking at, you know, what I need to buy, I can clearly see, oh, you know, I've only got 1 jam left. And if I happen to be grocery shopping and I notice jam is on sale, I can pick it up in the sale. And the other thing that's helpful is, let's say I open this last jar of jam. So now I have a gap. I know when I'm doing my grocery list, there should not be a gap there. So I immediately know that I need jam. And because I have only just opened this jar, I'll get a few weeks out of this jar of jam. I don't use it all in 1 week. That actually gives me a few weeks to buy replacement jam for my stock, so I can actually wait for it to go on sale. So that's kind of what I mean about, I find it quite cost effective to have items in stock. It just means I can pick things up when they're on sale. It's also super efficient for, you know, making up grocery lists and that kind of thing. So you can see here, this is actually the maple syrup that I'm currently using. I've only just opened it, but I don't have another one in stock. So I now know I need to get another maple syrup. But where I get this from, they often, I think once a month, they have like a 20% off store wide, and I will be waiting for that. And I will buy the maple syrup when it's 20% off. Whereas I think if I didn't kind of have this sort of a system, I think I would fall into like a habit of being like, oh my gosh, I've only got a little tiny bit of maple syrup. I've got to race out and buy. I mean, maple syrup's a bad example because obviously it's not an essential ingredient. But let's say I needed an essential ingredient and, you know, I didn't have anything in stock and then I had to kind of go out and get it. It just means I don't get to get it on, you know, sale. And in today's day and age, it is very good to be able to pick things up on sale. So anyway, I just wanted to really explain very, very briefly my kind of process and what works for me in the event that it's helpful for you. Obviously, everyone has their own process, and I appreciate that grocery shopping at the moment can be quite stressful, and everyone's situation is super different, but I just wanted to explain my thought process and why my pantry kind of looks like this, and why you're noticing I have items in stock and that. It just means I'm able to pick things up when they're on sale, and it's a little bit more cost effective for me. Anywho, so as I said, really wanting to focus on basically rejigging this shelf, and probably this drawer here. So I think the first thing we might do is I'm going to take everything out. You'll notice here that I've left quite a few. I think this is actually empty now. So like the chia seeds, this jar is empty. The pumpkin seeds are almost empty. I've actually not been topping up the jars in preparation for this. It just means I've got to transfer less ingredients. So let's get everything out from this shelf and this drawer. I'm going to clean it out a little bit, and then we will start changing everything over to the new containers. I'm going to assemble that little shelf, and that's going to go at the back, and then we'll have a look and see where we're at. So you're not going to want to watch me do that. So I might pop you on a time lapse while I do that process. So this is what it is currently looking like. I've just assembled this little sort of bamboo wooden shelf here. I don't know about it. I don't know if it's too high up. I'm gonna have a little play around. I have actually kept the receipt for it in the event that it doesn't work for my space. So I'll see how it goes once I start to put things back on it. So I think the next sort of step, I've cleaned it out, I popped the little shelf in. I think the next step we might try is, actually I'm wondering, no, that still wouldn't work. Nope, sorry. I just had a random thought there. The next thing we might try and do is popping back in the jars that I'm going to keep in their current jars, and then we'll start transferring over the other dry ingredients to the new jars. So let's do that now, and then we can have a bit of a play with how this is going to look, and rejig all the jars and just see if I can get it to fit efficiently, I suppose. So just in the event that you are looking for a bamboo pantry shelf, this is the one that I purchased from Kmart. I kept the receipt. I paid $19 for it. It was the large. I think there was a smaller size, and I just had to kind of assemble the legs on it, and they did come with they came with their own screws, and it also came with like a little Allen key to be able to do that, so that's great. So that is that shelf there. And then, as I said, the next thing I'm going to do, these sort of larger jars, I'm just going to keep. I'm happy with these jars, so I'm just going to put them back in. But what I wanted to show you, the other little thing that I do that I find really helpful is, so for example, this is a jar with gluten-free pasta in it, and then what I do is when I decant the pasta into the jar, I pop a little label on the back. This is just masking tape. Hold on, I totally have it. So in my drawer in the kitchen, this is the masking tape that I use. I basically just pop this little tiny label here. I'll give you a close-up shortly, but I just pop a little label here at the back that has the expiry date on it, just so that I'm, not keeping things well past their expiry dates. So yeah, I just sort of, on the end here, I basically just write the expiry date, cut this little piece off and then stick that to the back. And I have found that to be very, very helpful in keeping my pantry really nice and organised. So I'm just going to go through and pop all these back, the larger ones back in to kind of the positions that I think they're going to work the best. So just to show you, so I had this pasta, I've just refilled this jar and I didn't actually have any labels on it. So what I'm going to do is just label it, and I just wanted to show you the labels that I have. So these, as I said earlier, I got from Howard's Storage World quite a while ago, but I'll show you a better. And so basically they just come with the pen, with a little eraser, and then your pack of labels. But that is the brand there. So they're just reusable. So hopefully if you are in the market for something like that, you can find sort of something similar on Amazon or wherever in your own country. So what I'm going to do is just select the label size. You can see I've used quite a number of the labels. I'm just going to probably use one of these small ones here. I'm going to write the label of this jar and then pop it on. All right, so I've just written pasta on here. Hopefully you can, there you go. My handwriting isn't great. I'm not using any sort of fancy label makers or anything like that. And I'm just going to fix that onto the front as straight as I can. And then I have just decanted this in here. So what I do is I basically just look at the packet and then I note down the expiry date. So this is my masking tape here. And so this expires August 2026. So I've just got a little marker here that I keep. That's the wrong marker. I just write it on like that. As I said, I don't have the best handwriting, but it is not necessary. And then with scissors, I just chop it off. And then where that's kind of the front, on the back, I just stick this little label here. And there you go. So I just wanted to quickly show you up close what I do in terms of labeling the jars and things. Super easy to do, and as I said, these labels are brilliant because they're reusable. So you just basically have one packet and that's pretty much it. The other great thing about them is you can also, which you're going to see me do today, so this is baking powder. So I will actually peel this label off, and when I pop it into a new container, I'll stick this label on the new container. So they do just peel off and then you can re-stick them somewhere else, which is brilliant. Just to quickly show you as well. So this jar used to be protein powder. It's not that anymore. It's a type of muesli. So basically you just get your little rubber and you rub out the writing and it just comes off, and then you just write on a new label. It's great. So like so. And then I'll just pop the new label on there, which is muesli, and it'll go up into the shelves. So the next thing I'm going to do is start transferring these over to the appropriate jar. I've got a few of the smaller size and I've got the bulk larger size. So I'm kind of just going to work on that quickly. So for example, the baking powder, I'm pretty sure that will go fine in the smaller size jar. So what I might do is just peel off the label. And then I'm debating whether we go front. That's probably better from a space. So I was debating whether to go side like this or front. I think we'll go front because I think that will be the most space saving. So just sticking the label on. Goodness, these are very airtight. And then I'm just going to transfer. Now these smaller jars that I'm taking the product out of, they definitely will not go to waste. I will use them for other things. So like when I get snacks or things, or I'm, bringing other small things in, I'll use them for that. But yeah, the amount of times, because of how these were stacked, they have fallen over and the product has come out of them is just ridiculous. And so I definitely needed a better solution. So I'm hoping that this works brilliantly. All right, well, I'm going to continue moving these over and then we'll have a little look and a bit of a play with how they're all laid out. This is where I'm at the moment, and I'm pretty happy with that. Everything should be really easy to get out, and I've kind of tried to group the items that I normally get out together. I did end up kind of rigging this up a little bit differently. So you would have seen originally this leg was actually here. So I've just moved it over and secured it with basically some twine, I think, along where it kind of connects up through here, just so that I can fit these two large canisters in as well as these smaller ones. So yeah, very, very happy with that. These containers are much more stable than those smaller ones. So it'll just make getting things in and out a bit less stressful, because as I said, sometimes those little like these size ones, because they've got quite a small base on them, they were toppling over and product was going everywhere, and it was, yeah, quite stressful. So very happy with that. I think that looks, it's probably not the most aesthetic pantry ever, but it's very practical. I use it, yeah, making sure I've got a pantry that is efficient and just very practical to use is just incredibly important to me. So really happy with this. What it did highlight is that I've got a few things that I need to add to my grocery list. I was just out of, I've pretty much got no corn flour left. I've got no coconut flour left. I need to top up on some of the gluten-free pastas. But so that's just, and that's the point of this, is so that it just makes it really easy to compile your shopping list. It makes it really easy to access everything. So I'm really happy with that. And then in the drawer here, you can see I've just got all of my refills. So I've got like my psyllium husk, I've got all like my seeds, my cocoa, mueslis, I've got some pasta there, I've got gluten-free flour, chocolate chips, I've got pumpkin seeds. Anyway, you get the gist. It's all sort of just in here now, which is just a lot easier. One, to put away when I'm bringing back in my groceries, easier for me to see when I'm making my grocery lists. And the thing that I do like to do is always put the newest item towards the back. So when I get new, for example, gluten-free flour, I'll sort of slide these ones forward and then put the new one at the back, just so that you're ensuring you're, you know, using the oldest ones first so things aren't expiring. And that'll just make all of this so much easier having it in this drawer. So super happy with that. Gosh, it took much longer than what I thought it was going to, unfortunately. Reorganizing always does. I swear, you go in with a plan and then it just, yeah, very happy with it. I cannot believe how long that just took me to do. I'm sure for yourselves, there's been a lot of, I will have edited it down so it's at a reasonable length, this video. But I'm not sure. I may leave this video here, or I may come back on tomorrow. I'm really keen to plant that ivy, like the water planter. So maybe we'll do that as well. I'm probably going to call it for today though, because it is actually quite late in the afternoon now. But then I might pick up the camera again and I'll speak to you tomorrow, and we might just get out that ivy plant and then do the 2 ivy sort of water planters. I'm keen to get that into the bathroom. I think that's going to look beautiful in there. But yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this little reorganization process. I'm very pleased to have got that done. That's sort of been hanging over my head for the last few weeks, needing to kind of be in the mode to do it. But yeah, much better. It's going to be way more efficient and just really happy with it. I might just quickly note down those items that I need to add to my shopping list. All right, well, I will speak to you tomorrow. Well, it has been a few days actually since we did the pantry reorganisation. Apologies, it's been quite busy and the weather has just been crazy. It has been raining a lot today and it is quite windy, and I've just managed to pop outside very quickly in between rain showers. You can sort of see up there we have more rain coming, but I wanted to really quickly race out. I want to get the dirt off of that ivy plant. What I'm hoping to do today is just get all the dirt off of the ivy plant and then get the roots soaking in some water to get off any of the remaining dirt. And then what we'll do is tomorrow we'll place them in the little glass jars and I'll pop them in the bathroom and the library and things like that. So we'll do that together. But yes, I just thought while the rain had stopped, I would very quickly race outside. Is such a cozy day. It is just bucketed down with rain and then it sort of stops and we get a little bit of sunshine and then it buckets down again. It's very windy and very cold. So I am all rugged up, but the garden is just loving it. We've had so much growth. I cannot wait to do a garden tour with you. I'll sort of wait for better weather than what we have today. I don't want to get drowned whilst we're doing the little walk around, but there is a lot of really exciting sort of new things to show you. So hopefully we'll get to do that maybe next week if the weather improves. But before I get rained on, we might just really quickly head to the potting shed side of the garden and get this ivy out of its pot and remove as much dirt as we can. So I was not quick enough. It has started to rain. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if the rain comes across on camera. So I don't know if I'm going to get sun again. It's been like this sort of all day and I'm really keen to just start soaking that ivy. I've got Mum here, so I'm going to get her to pop out and that way we can be very, very quick with getting all the dirt off. So I'm going to do that, but I'll show you what we're going to do. So this is the ivy plant. You know, we bought this a few weeks ago maybe now. So it's an English ivy, which is meant to be really good for indoors and for like cleaning the air and that. So we're just taking off those little hanging basket bit. And it is actually raining, so we're both getting wet here. But very quickly, as I said, I'm wanting to make water planters out of this. So the ivy is in dirt at the moment. So all you have to do is take it out and get off as much dirt as possible. You want to try and not disturb the roots because you want to keep as much of the root system as you can. So like that, you can see there. And then what we'll do is get a little sort of like a little bucket that doesn't have a hole in it, and we will submerge the root ball in the water so that, like that, so that we'll just submerge this in some water so that the rest of the dirt will hopefully kind of soften and then come off, and then we'll come back tomorrow and I'll sort of show you. There is sort of two, I don't know if you can see there are sort of two little different branches there. So hopefully once the most of the dirt has come off, we'll be able to separate those two, and then we can just pop them in the little glass containers ready to go in the bathroom in the library. So I'll come back tomorrow, I'll let it soak overnight in water, and we'll see what it looks like tomorrow morning. We just popped inside to sort of like wash as much of the dirt off as we can, and a lot of the dirt has actually come off. So we're not going to soak it overnight. I think it's going to be okay like that. So as you can see, a lot of the dirt is off now. There's only a little tiny bit on there, but we're just really carefully trying to separate the roots so we can get the two sort of separate plants. We'll just sort of untangle them as best as we can. So you'll remember from a few weeks ago, these were the other water planters that we did. They're still doing really well, but I'm just waiting for a root system to start. And then these are the little jars, little glass jars that I've just got lying around. And I'm going to use these at the moment for the ivy planters. These are sort of things that you can like thrift, get from, you know, antique or secondhand stores. Just really pretty sort of small glass jars. It makes it easier for them to fit. So there, and then all we're going to do is, if we just get one of the little ivies, you can see, you just kind of work the roots in and submerge them as much as you can. Now, what we'll have to do is pull all of these leaves off here because we don't want any of the leaves in the water. So, any sort of those sort of lower leaves that are close to the root ball, you can see Mum's just taking them off just so that the water doesn't get dirty and it doesn't contaminate the water. There you go. So that's one. So we're just going to do the same thing with the other one in here. So I've popped the ivy in the bathroom. You probably, I don't know if you've ever seen my bathroom before, but this is my bathroom. And so I've just popped it, as you can see, in this corner up here. It's, as I said, it's a really cloudy, rainy day, so I do have the overhead lights on, but I do get a fair amount of morning sun in this bathroom. So I'm hoping it's going to love the humidity and it's going to love the morning sunlight. But that is how it is. I'm so happy with it. It just adds that real natural element. And I think, I know it, I sort of had a bit of Google, and they say that the English ivy is really great for taking out the humidity out of the air and any mold spoils in the air. It loves a really humid environment, so I think in the bathroom it'll do great. And it does, they do really well in like a low light. And so while I do get morning sun, it's not going to be in any sort of direct sunlight, but it will get that sort of sunlight in this space. So I hope it is very happy there. And it just, I think it looks really sweet, just kind of trailing down And the variegation in the leaves are really pretty. A huge fan of that vessel, but that was the one that I had lying around, so it's perfectly fine. Eventually, hopefully this will get so bushy that you won't even see it. And you can already see, like on this end bit here, it's got little, hopefully, well, there we go. It's got little new shoots coming out. Very happy with that. Yeah, I think that sort of natural sort of green, pop of green in this bathroom and that natural element, I'm really, yeah, over the moon with that. Very happy. I do have, we obviously made 2 water planters out of this one pot. So I've left that in the laundry, and because I've got the other water planters there, I do want to kind of disperse them through the library bookshelves. But I think until the other ones kind of get a bit more settled, and I kind of know where everything's going to go, I'll just keep them in the laundry for now. But that, oh, I'm so happy with that. That little patch of rain we've had has passed, but I can already see more rain clouds coming. So I think what I'm going to do is end this video here. I hope you've really enjoyed it. Again, it's been a little bit of a different one. We did the reorganization of the pantry cupboards. If you have any tips that you use in your own pantries to keep them really well organized and, you know, efficient, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to know what your sort of hacks are, what your tips are, and I may be able to implement them in my own pantry. And yeah, we also got that ivy planter in. Goodness, that took a couple of days, but I'm really over the moon with how that's looking. I think it's really beautiful, and I think it just adds something into the bathroom. So if you do happen to try one of, you know, making a water planter like what I've done today, also let me know. Let me know in the comments how you go with it, or even pop a picture of it on Instagram and tag me. I would love to see, you know, what planters you do and where you end up popping them all. All right, well, I'm going to say farewell. I hope you've really enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.